Hello foodie people, we're going to cook something for you today and it's always a winner. These are my white chocolate orange brownies. So, I've got a table full of equipment and ingredients. I'm going to show you how to make these. They are absolutely foolproof because I'm no chef. I don't have expensive equipment, but you can do this. Anyone can do this at home. So let's get right into it. Let's make you some white chocolate orange brownies. First thing to say about this recipe is I'm kind of preparing it for a slightly larger bake. So I'm going to be doing it in a 25 by 40 centimetre bake tray. If you're cooking only for a couple of you, or maybe even just for yourself, then maybe half the ingredients and use a 20 by 20 standard sort of bake tray. First ingredient is unsalted butter. So you need 370 grams of that. If you can take it out of the fridge beforehand, just for a little bit, it'll soften up, help you out and quicken up the melting process. It's chocolate brownie, so you're obviously going to need chocolate. We've got here some Bourneville dark chocolate by Cadbury's, 370 grams of that. As well as the dark chocolate, you're also going to need 200 grams of the white chocolate that you're going to chop up and will be nice thick chunks that go in the middle of it. Like most cake recipes, you're going to need eggs, and in this one you're going to need 6 large eggs. Sugar wise, you'll need 550 grams of golden caster sugar, 80 grams of white chocolate cocoa powder. If you don't want to use white chocolate cocoa powder, I've used in the past dairy milk cocoa powder and it's worked absolutely fine, but I do think the white chocolate gives an extra creaminess to it. You'll need 170 grams of plain flour. I have done this using gluten-free plain flour and it works fine, but the recipe does turn out slightly less gooey and is a slightly firmer recipe with the gluten-free flour, but you know what, it's still awesome. I used the zest of 2 oranges to give this the orange impact. Equipment wise, nothing too extravagant here. A basic mixer you can buy in any sort of supermarket, fairly cheap. Weighing scales, a zester, a mixing bowl, wooden spoons and a sieve is really the kind of all that you need. Okay, first job you're going to do is break up the dark chocolate so it will melt quicker. Likewise, chop up the butter into smaller chunks so it will melt easier and you're not waiting as long. Boil your kettle. You do not want that bowl touching that boiling water, so you only want to fill the water up maybe less than halfway. Place the bowl on top, add in your chocolate and your butter that you've just chopped down, and then leave it to slowly melt. Don't have the hob on too high. While the chocolate and butter is gently melting, get hold of your baking tray and grease it with some butter, then line it with some baking paper, and so that's ready to go. Done, so you don't have to do it later on when you've got loads of other stuff going on. Get a knife and break up that white chocolate into really nice chunks. Don't make it too small because you'll want to see those white chocolate chunks inside your brownie. At this point you can zest your oranges, get it ready, so as soon as you're ready to put them in the mix at the final stage, you can do. The chocolate and the butter has completely melted together and formed a lovely buttery chocolatey goo. Take that off the heat and allow it to cool. While the chocolate butter mixture is cooling, what you can do then is turn on your oven. You're looking at about 160 on a fan oven, 180 on a conventional oven, and about gas mark 4, so it's not a particularly high heat recipe this. Break your 6 eggs into your mixer and then add the golden caster sugar. Turn on your electric mixer and put it on a high speed. You really want to whip up and whisk that egg and sugar mixture to its one smooth milkshake-like paste. A good way of knowing if the mixture is done is if you stop the machine, take the beaters out, does the mixture leave a small trail for 1 or 2 seconds before disappearing into the rest of the mixture. It should take between 3 to 8, maybe 10 minutes. But once you see that trail and it just stays there for a couple of seconds, then you know you've got it about right. To make life a little easier, I transferred my sugary eggy mixture into a large mixing bowl. At this point, your chocolate and butter mixture should have more or less cooled. Pour that into the mixture and with a spatula, gently do almost like a figure of 8 movement, mixing together that beautiful chocolate with that eggy, sugary mousse that you've already made. By the time you've gently folded the mixtures together, you'll have a light chocolatey marble kind of look to it, as you see on screen. The next stage is to sieve the white chocolate cocoa and the flour into your mixture. Using the figure of 8, make sure you're getting every section of this bowl so no mixture is left untouched. When you first sieve in the flour, it has a dusty sort of appearance, but keep folding away using that figure of 8 and it will quickly become into a beautiful dark brown mousse. At this point, it's time to add in your chunky bits of white chocolate and your orange zest. Fold in using your figure of 8 motion again until it's thoroughly mixed through and there's a good spread of white chocolate throughout your mixture. Pour in the mixture and then use a spatula or a knife just to spread out your mixture. Make sure it's nice and even as possible. Pop it in the oven and it should be ready in about 25 minutes. The bowl mixture contains raw eggs, so under no condition must you try the mixture in this bowl. A good way of knowing if your brownie is done is if the edges have started to come away from the baking tin and if you shake the tray, the mixture doesn't wobble in the middle. Once the brownies are cooked, take them out of the oven, put them on a cooling tray and leave them alone. Leave it to completely cool. If you try and take it out too early, they'll still stick to the sides and you'll break it up and it will just be a bit of a mess. Once it's completely cool, take them out of the tray, cut them into squares or triangles like I've done here because they look a little bit prettier. If you want to decorate them with a bit of melted extra white chocolate like I've done, they look absolutely amazing. Serve them either on their own, cold, warm, with ice cream. They are absolutely stunning. They'll keep in an airtight container for about 2 weeks, or even better, you can freeze them for up to a month and take them out when you want them. Let me know how you get on with this recipe. I think it's an absolute champion one and I'd love to hear your feedback from it. This is the first of my recipe films. If you've liked it, please subscribe to the channel, like it, share it around. Full details of this recipe will be on my Facebook page where I'll write down the ingredients and method that you need to use, but I really rate this recipe and I hope you do too. Catch you next time, foodie people.